she told my grandfather, are you ready for this? She told my grandfather that she smells death. Hello, my starlings. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're ready for today's video because I am going to be telling you guys some stories about my haunted house. These are never before told stories. I don't really talk about the experiences that I have, but I figure, hey, I have a lot of time. You're gonna be getting to know my haunted house, my kitchen, my haunted kitchen. So I hope that you guys are ready. Make sure you're sticking around all the way until the end because these stories involve some pretty creepy things. So you guys might have seen this in a video that I did around Christmas time, and I do also have this guy right here that I want to talk to you guys about because I think that he has something to do with the activity in my house. I don't really do story times on my channel, but I have a lot of time. Obviously, I can't get out and investigate and explore. So this is the type of content that you guys are gonna be getting from me. I really hope that you guys enjoy it. If it's not your cup of tea, I do ask that you still show your girls some support. Drop a comment, drop a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let's just get right on into this video. Also, I am wearing my Let's Talk to Ghosts hoodie because I felt it was really appropriate, right? Also, the back is really cool, so I'll show you guys really quick. But there we go. This is the house I grew up in. I lived downstairs when I was little. I don't know why I'm still out of breath, but I am. That just completely wore me out. Oh my God, Kris, snap out of it. Jeez, you don't do a video. I'm trying to give myself a moment here. Just give myself a moment. We all need a minute sometimes. Holy shit. Okay, so this house was built in 1947. I grew up here. Actually, I lived downstairs with my grandparents for much of my childhood, and I lived down there with not just my grandparents, but my aunt. You guys may have heard me talk about her on my live streams. She is the person that supported my paranormal experiences and interest in the spirit realm, and she definitely influenced a lot of that for me. She has some crazy stories. I'm gonna be telling you guys what she's seen in this house, but let's start with what I've experienced. So since I was little, I knew that there was something different about me. I knew that I was incredibly sensitive to things. I could walk into a house, I could explore something that was haunted, and I used to do that a lot when I was little. I would just go out and explore, but I would feel emotion very deeply and I would pick up on it. It would always end up being accurate to what had happened there when I ended up doing more research about the place. So when I was little, I was afraid of this house to an extent, and I wouldn't say I was afraid of ghosts. I just was afraid of the unknown. I wasn't very used to it, and as I grew up, I got more used to it, obviously, because more and more things started to happen. But I've actually had this little guy right here since I was about... So I've had this little guy since I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And my family swears that Furby is haunted. You wouldn't even have to do anything or be near him for him to go off. And he spent a lot of time in my basement where I've experienced probably the brunt of the paranormal activity in this house since I was little. So right now I'm renting the upstairs, and there's quite a history with this upstairs in general that we're gonna get into in just a little bit. But just a little backstory about this house. It was built in 1947, and the same guy lived here until he passed away. Now, when my family moved in, my aunt would swear that she would see a full-blown apparition. She could barely tell it apart from a physical person. She could barely tell it apart from a physical person to an actual apparition because she would see a full-grown man, an older man in a trench coat with a hat, just staring at her every time she walked out of her room in the middle of the night. And this happened for years, and it did happen when I was living here, but I never saw the old man. We do believe it was the old man because he did live here for 40 plus years. I would spend a lot of time in the basement with my best friend Samantha when we were little, and I can't even tell you how many times I ran up the stairs because we saw something or were terrified by how the basement made us feel. I don't know if it was necessarily threatening, but I can tell you it scared us as children. Again, the unknown is really scary to some people, especially when you're a child. This Furby would go off all the time. So we would just be in the basement playing, and really far away from this thing, the Furby would go off by itself. This thing actually lasted, what, 20 years? The batteries were never changed and they were completely corroded, and it finally crapped out just a few months ago. And this Furby would still go off. So I have no idea why the Furby would randomly go off when nobody was in front of it. And yeah, I really think that this little guy right here is haunted. I think that there is a spirit attached to it. And that actually brings me into this guy. My friend Kris, Paranormal Descendants, she actually gave this to me because I've been wanting a really old Jack-in-the-Box. I was really excited when she said, yeah, you could take him home, but she did think that there was definitely a spirit attached to him. So this Jack-in-the-Box came from an abandoned insane asylum in Pennsylvania, Embryville Asylum. I think I'm saying that right. I could be saying it wrong. But the unusual part is this was the only item left intact in an abandoned insane asylum. So one of her friends actually was exploring and he came across a box in the middle of the asylum. So it's just very odd that that was the only thing that was there, considering everything else was already gone. The only reason why I guess her friend took this is because this is a relic and somebody probably would have destroyed it or done something stupid with it. So I'm actually really happy that he took it. As urban explorers, we don't typically touch anything, but this was the only intact item left, and it's actually an antique. So down here it says that this is 12 out of 85 and it was made in Oregon. This guy right here has had a lot of activity around him. So if you guys look back to my Crybaby Bridge video, we were using the K2 meter on the Jack-in-the-Box, and the craziest part is my car randomly turned itself on. And I think that this Jack-in-the-Box had something to do with it, because if we hadn't gone back to my car, there was a car that came out of the horse stable that is known for satanic and KKK cult gatherings and whatnot. And that car actually chased us down the road. But luckily we were already in our car.
All right. Oh, there's EMF coming from this Jack-in-the-Box.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh my
look,
God,
look. Holy 10, 12.
So I think that this is a very friendly, playful spirit, but the first night that I brought him home, I had such an experience. Holy crap, I had the craziest experience. So I was sleeping facing my dresser and Furby was on top of my dresser. And I had woken up and I was in a state of sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is not really scary for me, but it can be really uncomfortable for people. I'm just really used to it. And while I was in this state of sleep paralysis, I looked over at my Furby. That's the only place I could actually look. Like, I could not see anything else around me. Everything else was blurry, but the only thing I could see was my Furby. His entire body turned into a little boy's face. And I tried so hard to wake myself up because I just wanted to know, like, was I seeing things? Was this sleep paralysis experience real? And I kept blinking and trying to, like, you know, my eyes were kind of blurry, my vision was kind of blurry, so I kept blinking and I kept trying to wake myself up, and I finally did. But this lasted for a solid 2 minutes easily. And I saw the face of a little boy, and I'm pretty sure that that little boy is attached to this Jack-in-the-Box. Now, since I brought the Jack-in-the-Box home, my cats have been going crazy. My one cat, Kai, this hallway behind me, she actually climbs the walls. She will go all the way up to the ceiling. Like, her entire, she's actually right there right now. You can see her little white.
Her little white boot.
She'll climb the walls and try to reach the ceiling like she's chasing something. And she gets so loud in the middle of the night. Like, she just goes freaking bonkers. Here's my one baby. That's the sweetest Kai. That's her. She sleeps in here a lot with me. She's the crazy one that likes to go up the ceiling. Yeah, that's the crazy cat. Look at her whisker. It's like all crooked and curled. She's shedding right now, so she's currently disposing of her winter jacket. So it's usually all over my floor. Let me show you guys where the Jack-in-the-Box was. So the Jack-in-the-Box was right here. This is where I sleep. So here's my bed. Jack-in-the-Box is there. I woke up. My Furby is right here. I saw a little boy's face over the entire front part of the Furby. It's kind of creepy. Let me know if you guys ever had a Furby, because I actually heard some stories about Furby from some of you guys actually in the video I did around Christmas time, that you've always been kind of freaked out by him too. So I have a lot of sleep disturbances, so I decided to move the Jack-in-the-Box out of my bedroom. I thought maybe if I moved him out to the kitchen, I would get a better night's sleep. The way that I am usually contacted is in my sleeping state, so I didn't want anything to influence that. I already have enough trouble sleeping, so I moved him to my kitchen. So I definitely think that there's been an increase in paranormal activity in my house since I brought this Jack-in-the-Box home. However, I don't think that it's threatening. Now, there were other resident ghosts here in my house before that, because before I lived up in this apartment, my grandparents would actually rent out to people with disabilities. They worked with an organization to help people find homes that were disabled or had some sort of mental disability. A lot of the people that lived up here were very mentally unstable, and it gets really, really unsettling because there was an older lady that lived up here. There was a situation where she broke through my grandparents' back door window with a brick, and she was standing there with a knife. And when my grandfather went to go and find her, she was hiding behind the door that comes upstairs to my apartment. She told my grandfather, are you ready for this? She told my grandfather that she smells death. Now, could that be because of whatever disability she had, or was she actually smelling death? Was she actually seeing something that we could not see? She had a few episodes like that, and eventually got really bad to the point where the organization that my grandparents were working with had to come and rehome her. She spent many of her years at a psychiatric hospital in New Jersey called Greystone. Much of that asylum is abandoned now, and I remember exploring that years ago, so that's pretty crazy that that's where she spent a lot of her time. So this is the door that the lady was hiding behind, waiting for my grandfather, so that's really creepy. She was actually standing right here. This is actually the window that she threw the brick through. They had to get it fixed, but this was all broken and smashed. So then she came over here and she hid behind the door with a knife in her hand. I don't know, guys. Do you think she was actually seeing something? This is the hallway that my cats go crazy in. So anything up here in this area, I actually have black tourmaline above the doorways in my house. It is an incredibly powerful protection stone. So this will cleanse dense energy in your home. It will absorb that negative energy. So what I do recommend is putting this above the doorways in your house. So I have it above every doorway. And here is Mr. Chew. That's the handsome boy. So he actually gets really vocal at night ever since I brought home the Jack-in-the-Box. It sounds like he's screaming. It's just really odd. Is that right? What are you doing at night? You wake me up. He's so, oh, the handsome boy. He's so loud that he wakes me up. So loud. Animals are really sensitive to the spirit world. I do believe that, and I do believe that he has seen some things here. He's been very vocal about it. Isn't that so? Isn't that so? That's right. That's right. There was a lady that was living up here probably 10 years or so ago. She actually was brought to the hospital. Now, they don't disclose their medical history, so we don't really know. We can only speculate what they had. She had to be taken to the hospital, and she passed away at the hospital. She never came back. I believe that, you know, she was a very gentle, sweet person in life, and I do believe that she is still here with us. So I have a lot of things that happen in this kitchen. Things move, things fall. It just feels like something is trying to get my attention, and it's never anything threatening. It does feel very friendly. Then there was another man that lived up here, and his energy was very disturbing. He would say a lot of things, and he actually accused my grandfather of trying to kill him. I don't know where he got that from, because my grandfather never said a word to him, but he was kind of imagining things. And I don't know if during that time there was some sort of negative energy that was up here. Now, since I've moved in, I truly believe that I have always been protected. I communicate with my guides, and I know that they are here to protect me. Everybody believes in something different, and I, of course, do believe in a higher power. And part of that higher power to me are my guides, my angels that have been assigned to protect me in this lifetime. And I believe that they have been here with me since I moved in. I have had a few negative experiences in my sleeping state, stuff that has really freaked me out. I can tell you that this was probably the freakiest experience that I've had here, because when you see a full apparition. And no, I did not see a full body, but I saw the face of a little boy. And it was the very first night that I had brought the Jack-in-the-Box home. I'm not gonna lie, like it was a little creepy at first. And then I realized that maybe it's not threatening. You know, maybe this is just something I have to accept because I can see things. I've always been able to see things. I've always been able to hear things. This is nothing new for me. So I've just really gotten used to the things that have happened in my house, these paranormal experiences. I don't have a problem with them. I really don't. But I do find it interesting that there are people that lived up here that have since passed away. Now, with the lady that threw the brick through my grandparents' window and said that she smelled death, apparently people with mental disorders or mental disabilities have a heightened psychic awareness. And I truly do believe that. And I think that she could have been threatened by something here and that she wasn't just losing her mind and she was actually seeing or sensing something. It's just a really bizarre experience, and it's so weird to know that people lived up here that had such a negative life, such a sad life. And when I moved in here, I could definitely feel that energy. When I was little, I sensed a male presence. It was so strong, and every time I went down into the basement, there was a certain area where I would be really afraid to go. It was by the boiler, by my grandfather's tool area. Like, I would see shadows back there, and I was so uncomfortable. That really freaked me out growing up. Obviously, the older I got, the more I was able to control my senses, and I became more comfortable with what was happening, because the more that you try to push away spiritual experiences or paranormal experiences, if you are sensitive or open to the spirit realm, it can really mentally drain you. And I tell people this a lot: if you are open to the spirit world or have some sort of psychic sense, the sooner you embrace it, the easier your life will be. I've been in this house now for 4 years of my adult life, and when I was little, like I said, I was really scared. But now as an adult, I'm not scared to be here. Yeah, there's things that happen. The average person might consider them to be unsettling and they might be scared. But for me, it's a lot different. I just wanted to share my story with you guys. If you guys want me to go more in depth about my experiences in this house, let me know. I'm actually even thinking about setting up a camera while I go to sleep because I want to see if anything happens. I also want to do a video about when I met my spirit guide. So if you guys want to see that, let me know, because that's a really personal experience and I only want to share it with you guys if there's people that actually want to listen to it. I'm also thinking about doing a spirit box session with Furby and Mr. Jack over here. So if you guys want to see that too, let me know. Maybe I'll just include that all in my next video or something. Let me know your thoughts on this story time. If you guys liked it, if you enjoyed the style video, I want to do more videos like this. So if you're enjoying them, I'm going to keep doing them. Make sure that you guys are dropping a comment with your thoughts. Please give this video a big thumbs up. If you guys are interested, I do have some merch and I do have a Patreon. Shout out to my 41 patrons. Thank you guys so much for being here with me again this month. If you guys stuck around throughout this whole video, huge shout out to you, and I will catch you guys on my next one. Peace out, starlings.